So you've narrowed it down and there's a price consideration. So what's next? Let me help. As with any career where an artist is involved, such as artwork or photography or painting, any such art, you're always going to have entry-level people as well as people who have been in that trade for quite some time. And it's very hard to be able to distinguish the difference between what to do and what not to do, simply because we definitely want to encourage and promote those getting started, but at the same time, in the business of weddings, that can be a bit tricky. I encourage everybody to go out there with a very open mind, but at the same time, keeping a few other things in mind as well. When looking at photography and considering pricing, there are many things to consider just simply because pricing is kind of a science when it comes to photography. We don't have any set rules or margins that we're supposed to follow in order to have an apples to apples idea of what it is that they're paying for. There's a lot of factors go into how photography is priced, and that itself is a whole nother video. But just to give you an idea, when you're looking at photographers and you've got a price consideration to make, and you're seeing that one is on this side and one is on this side, and you're really leaning towards maybe the one on this side, but the cost is just so substantial that you really have to take a step back and consider what's best for your budget. A few factors simply to consider when you're really thinking about those numbers to numbers is what is really entailed in one photographer providing their product over another. So when you're looking at that price difference, you really need to take into consideration that really what these two businesses have put into their work and maybe the level of customer service that you might receive. For a lot of photographers who are really trying to hone in on their skills and reduce the amount of weddings that they take, it's really in order to focus on the quality and the experience that they're giving their clients. So at the end of the day, it's truly going to be the experience, the quality, the customer service, and the deliverables at the end that are really going to determine the cost in which you're being charged for your photography. For photography, each photographer bases their rates on what they need to sustain life. Those prices in the end are not going to be something that you can ultimately compare apples to apples, but it doesn't hurt to try. So my mere suggestion is that when you're out there and you're deciding on a price consideration for photographers, regardless of whether they are hourly photography or whether they offer packages, I simply ask that you guys take into consideration that you really need to consider an apples to apples approach. That means that if one photographer is offering you a certain amount of hours, one album, and a thumb drive of files, that you try to look at exactly what it is the other photographer is going to charge for hours, one album, and a thumb drive. If you take that and you divide it by the total hours of coverage, you'll ultimately get an hourly rate. And that's a good way to apples compare your photographers. At the end of the day, you have to remember that your photographer is going to be a very personal decision, no matter who you choose. It's important that not only their style meshes with you, but their personality as well. So as you go out on your journey to find a photographer, make sure that that's someone that you could sit in the room with and just chat it up all day, because unfortunately, at the end of the day, they're going to follow you around, and there's nothing worse than that awkward silence and somebody just standing in the room waiting for something to happen. So make sure that your photographer can be engaging, make sure that they can exert control, make sure that the work that you're seeing at the end of the day is something that you feel you could step into and really enjoy seeing yourselves a part of. And if I've helped plan your day in any small way, please subscribe, like, share, and follow us everywhere.